Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Jeff here, and hope you all had a great weekend. I know today's Tuesday, but I wanted to get this video out yesterday on Monday, and I just didn't have time. My mother-in-law was in town all weekend and didn't get a lot of time to myself, but I did get a little bit of time to myself on Saturday, which I ended up visiting a local card shop here, and I ended up buying some stuff. So I want to share that stuff with you guys today. And I think this is going to be a fun one because I want to share it in a certain way where I want you to also think about at what point was it a good deal? And I'll explain when I get there in a little bit. But yeah, like I said, it was Saturday morning. My wife and her mom were out at a farmer's market. And so I ended up having to go to Home Depot. I had our washing machine went out, so I had to go to Home Depot, get a new washing machine. We ended up buying a new washer and dryer. So I did that. And then I hadn't had breakfast and I was hungry. So there was a Chipotle right across the street. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to Chipotle. Well, it was about 10:30. They don't open till 11. So I had to kill some time. And I remembered there was a card shop, like walking distance from the Chipotle. So I ended up going to the card shop, figured I'd spend 15, 20 minutes. And sure enough, I was there for hours. And I had a lot of fun. And again, I'm gonna share some of that stuff with you here. Let me set it up. I'll show you a picture real quick. I'll pan to a picture of that card shop. So here it is. It's a really nice place. It's pretty new. I think they've been here maybe 3 years or 2.5 years or so. It's a cool little spot. It's small, but it's nice. So, all right, so you walk in, and on the left you have like 3 display cases, floor to ceiling, that are just filled with graded cards. There's the back, where, the workers all are, with the display cases in front, and all of that has just boxes. And then there's another section that has blaster boxes with a little bit more graded cards. And then there's just the part right in front where there's probably 15 to 20, 5,000 count boxes or so, just with random stuff, right? All sports, all years, random stuff. And that's where I spent the bulk of my time. And, what's funny about this is that I put out a video last week, like literally my last video was talking about my focus in the hobby, my hobby focus, right? And that completely went out the window this weekend. I had, in that video, I showed my checklist that I do and everything I'm buying off that. And literally, I did not buy anything here today that matches what I talked about last week in the video. And that's what makes it funny. But there is a reason why I bought all this. As part of some nostalgia that I'll probably talk about a little bit at the end. But again, this is just some really great stuff. I want to share it. And so, all right, let me get into it. So first, going back to these boxes, right? I'm looking at the boxes and, there's a lot of decent stuff in there, mostly newer. There is some old stuff in there. But I asked the clerk behind the counter, I said, hey, how do these boxes work? How much are the cards in these boxes? And he was like, 3 for $1 on everything, right? All the boxes. He's like, unless it's individually marked, but there's a lot of stuff in there that has some old price tags and random things like that. He's like, those aren't the prices. He's like, if it's a newer price tag, which I couldn't really figure out what was new or old, but he said, if it's a newer price tag, that'll be the price. Otherwise, everything else, 3 for $1, right? So I figured, all right, whatever. So I started looking through. Wasn't a ton initially that I wanted, but I figured I was there and I wanted to spend a little bit of money. I figured I'd spend $10, right? Just for me killing some time in there before I head to Chipotle. So let me show you really quick. And I still got it bagged up here because I wanted to leave it bagged up just to show that I was there and this is what I purchased separately. Okay. So this isn't the fun part. This isn't getting to the game yet, but some of the stuff I bought, right? I bought 30 cards here because I figured, all right, I'm gonna pick out 30 cards, it'd be $10, 3 for $1. Even though he did say, the more you buy, you'll get a little bit more off that 25 cents or that 33 cents, right? I don't know how many I expected I'd have to buy to get a better deal than 3 for $1, but I was figuring 30 cards, 3 for $1, right? One of the first cards I picked out, again, I don't know why, it doesn't fit my collection, but an Allen and Ginter, Roberto Clemente mini, right? So I figured whatever, 33 cents. Then I saw Willie Stargell, so I bought the Willie Stargell, all right? Again, doesn't fit my collection at all. I saw this in there, 85 Topps Alan Trammell. I do collect players from the 80s. I don't think I have this 85 Alan Trammell, so I figured, you know what? I'll pick that up as well. There's a Bo Bichette rookie in there, right? Just random, his Bowman rookie. I picked that up. And then there was some stuff from 1969, 68, 67, stuff like that. All commons, things like that. But I figured, you know what? I'll just grab some Cubs stuff. I saw some Cubs cards. I just figured, you know what? I'll just grab some random Cubs cards because I'm a Cubs fan, right? So this was one, it's beat up, but it's 71 Topps, Chicago Cubs team card. Figured whatever, 33 cents, great. Some more Cubs stuff, 1970, 70, 70, 66, Chicago Cubs, 66. Again, I'm not familiar with these players, but, again, they're my Cubbies. So 67 with the Rookie Cup trophy on it. Thought that was cool. Another 67 Cubs with the Rookie Cup. Just some 67s, 67 Rookie Stars, a 69, Leo DeRocher. Again, this one I think I picked up because it's the Seattle Pilots, so I thought that was cool. Tommy Aaron, I think, right? Is that Hank Aaron's brother? I don't know. I think it is, maybe not. But Tommy Aaron, 69, Rick Wise, 69, just a all-star, and some more Rookie Cups, right? Just some random Rookie Cup stuff. And then, this stuff, well, there's another Cubs one that I just didn't show, and then there's four more random ones, right? So here's one, the 69 Topps Decal Edge, Carl Yastrzemski, right? There's a $4 price tag. I figured it was an old price tag, so I was thinking 33 cents, right? Now, granted, there looks to be a crease across the middle of this, but hey, 33 cents, who cares? So I got that. Here's another one, not creased. This one's in better shape. Price tag's $8, but again, looks like an old price tag to me, so figured 33 cents. Here's a Rod Carew, same thing. And then this card, randomly, a 1964 Boston Red Sox team card. And this card is actually in really great shape. It's pretty sharp. No creases or anything like that. I mean, centering pretty decent. There's a price of $22 on the back, but this was part of it, right? So this little stack here, well, just dropped those minis, but this little stack here, 30 cards. I figured $10, right? So I go to the counter and he literally does this. He looks at the stack, he goes, $2. And I was like, $2? And I literally said this. I said, no. I said, charge me $5, And so he ended up charging me $5, but he did say $2. So that was pretty funny. He actually kind of laughed at that when I said, no, $2? No, charge me $5. So he did. So I paid $5 for this stuff, right? So at that point I was like, this is a really good deal, right? I should go through these boxes and find some more stuff. And I saw the old stuff, so I was like, maybe I should buy some more of the old stuff. And so here's where I think it's gonna be fun, right? I've done the math already, but what I would like from you guys here, whoever's watching this, think about this as I'm going through this. And because I'm gonna tell you how much I paid, right? I'm gonna tell you how much I paid for everything else that I have here. And I'm curious at what point you would pull the trigger and buy just what I've shown so far, right? Well, not the stuff I've shown so far, but we'll get to it and I'll talk as I get there. All right, so Again, for $80. I'm gonna show the stuff I got little by a time. First stack of cards. 1966 Topps. And granted, these are all gonna be commons, okay? So there's no stars, no all-stars, no Hall of Famers. It's all just gonna be your, maybe a few minor stars, but mostly commons, right? So just think commons for the most part. Okay, 1966 Topps. There was a stack, and I grabbed them all. Well, and here's how the $80 worked. I had a stack that I put together after I ended up buying the stuff for $5. So I put this whole stack together, and I said to them, hey, how much if I were to just buy this whole stack right here? And they seemed like they didn't deal in vintage at all, and it seemed like all they were focused on was modern stuff. So he just kind of looked at the stack and he said, $40? And I was like, all right, so if I double this stack, $80? And he was like, yeah. So we shook, and I ended up doubling that stack, and I think I got all of the older stuff that he had. So here's the first part of it. Okay, 1966 Topps. I have 2 stacks here because I've separated them already. All right, here are those stacks. This stack has 157 different cards in it. And then this stack has 115 different cards in it. This stack has 42 cards in it. So together, it's 157 cards. And again, I paid $80. So that comes out to 51 cents a card. Now these cards are condition-wise, these cards are probably between good and VGEX, okay? So let me just kind of flip through a few of them just to show you. Just some random ones here. Well, that one looks to be creased. So there are a few creases in the 66, but who is that? Is that the Angels team card? Angels team. Just some random stuff, right? So, but again, 150 cards, 157 cards, 115 different, which comes out to 19% of the set, and then 42 cards. So, ultimately, if I could find somebody that wanted to swap, trade commons for commons, I have 42 cards to trade, which can get me up to 157 different cards. So, with this being said, I'm at 51 cents per card. Now, would you buy 157 1966 Topps cards for 51 cents a card for $80? I probably wouldn't, right? I don't know what they go for, what commons go for in condition from good to VGEX, but I probably wouldn't. But I don't think it's the worst deal in the world. All right, so let me put these off to the side, and I'm gonna stack them up back here. All right, so that's the stack of 66s. Okay, now 1967. There was another pile of 1967s. So let me pull these out. All right, in the pile of 1967s, there was a total of 173 cards. 113 different cards, which comes out to about 18.5% of the set. And then there was 60 doubles. So 113 different, 60 doubles, 173 total. So these are these cards. I'm just gonna show, I'll show the stacks. So these are the stacks, right? So you got your doubles here, you have your individual 113 cards here. And then again, just kind of, just fanning through some of these. Ooh, almost dropped. But again, condition-wise, probably the same as the 66s. Probably good to VGEX on average. All right, so now with these 67s and the 66s combined, we have a total of 330 cards from 1966 and 1967. And at $80, comes out to 25 cents a card, okay? So at this point, would you buy this stack of cards, the 66s and the 67s, 330 of them, for 25 cents a card, for 80 bucks? It's a little more tempting. I still don't know if I would pull the trigger on that. But it gets better. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna put these off to the side. Next up, the 1968s. There was a stack of those. So there was a total of 135 1968s. There was 99 different, which comes out to 16.5% of the set. And there was 36 doubles for a total of 135. So here is the stack of 99 different cards here. So again, just fanning some of these out, showing some of these 66s. Marked checklist, but they're actually all pretty clean. There is a couple checklists, few checklists that are marked, but all right. So again, 99 different and 36 doubles. So now between the 66s, 67s, and 68s, we are at a total of 465 cards. And doing the math, now it comes down to 18 cents a card. So you can get 5 for $1, you know, and if you spend more money, you could throw in a sixth every now and then. But, you know, at 18 cents a card, you know, what do you guys think? Would you buy those stacks? Would you buy 157 66 tops, 173 67 tops, and 135 1968 tops? So again, 465 cards from those three sets for 18 cents a piece, for 80 bucks. That's still tempting, but I don't know if I would do it. Here's where I think that changes for me though, in this next stack, because it gets better. The next stack, 1969. Here's that stack of 1969 cards. Now, this stack, it's not the whole stack. This is just the different cards. So the stack here has 293 different cards in it, which comes out to 44% of the set. Then here's another stack. Here. This stack is the doubles, and there's 146 here, different doubles. So this is 22% of the set right here. So I have 293 cards, that's 44% of the set. Another partial set of 146 cards, that equals 22% of the set. And that's not even it for the 69 tops. This is a third stack, which is triples, and there's 119 cards here. So altogether, there was 558 1969 tops cards here. So when you take this 558 1969 tops and the stuff over there, we're at over 1,000 cards. We're at 1,023 cards between the 1966 and 1969 set, which comes out now to 8 cents a card. So would you buy all this for 8 cents a card? I think that's where it changes for me, and I say yes. Because, I mean, we're talking about 44% of the set. Sure, it's all commons, but you know, those lots you got to buy and go through are tough. You know, it takes a while to get there. So this is where I think it made it worth it for me, right? What about you? But regardless, that's not it, because there's still more, and there's still one more really great stack. So let me move these off to the side, and I think I'm gonna switch sides here. Those are gonna fall, I know it. Fix that. All right, so those are the 69s. 1970s, a small stack. Total cards, 83. There are 64 different cards. This stack here, 64 different cards. These cards are in better condition now. These are probably, on average, between a VGEX and EX Mint. So probably between like a 4 and a 6. But again, a total of 83 cards, 64 different, and of the 64 different, there are 9 high numbers. So 718, 717, 7, is that 716? It's hard for me to see through the camera. 714, is that a 678? 678. So there's 9 high numbers here, which, you know, high numbers, you're not gonna get those for 8 cents a piece, right? But again, just to add to the stack. So when you add these 1970 tops in with the rest of it, 1,106 cards, which now brings it down to 7 cents a card, all right? So we dropped another penny in these cards. And so I'll throw these over here. All right, and here's where I got most excited, because I love the 1971 set. It's one of my favorite sets of all time. I remember when I was a kid, I got a big shoebox of cards from my grandma that said they were my dad's old cards. And they were some cards from 1970, 71, 79, 80, randomly, right? 70, 71, and then 79, 80, and I think 81 as well. So those years with those gaps of the rest of the 70s in between. And there was some good stuff in there. Like I remember some Johnny Benches, and I remember like 3 or 4 Thurman Munson rookies from that 1970 set in there. And there were some star cards in there. But it was a lot of fun getting it and going through it. And it was like my first experience with vintage cards. So I do love those sets. And I think that's part of the reason why I love the 70, 71 so much. And I also love the 79, 80, 81 so much too, was because of that shoebox I got from my dad or my grandma that were my dad's. But anyways, this next stack I got, right, included in the 80 bucks, 304 1971 Topps cards. So this is the stack of 225 different cards in this stack. 225 different, which comes out to 30% of the set. So almost 1/3 of the set here in this stack, including 31 high numbers here. So, again, I can go through some of this stuff, right? Oh, I should fan it. This way's easier. Some of this stuff. A few more. But yeah, 225 different 1971 Topps. And then again, including 31 high numbers. So what does that say? God, I can't read the numbers through there. 749, whatever. Just some, 700 numbered cards. So just a great stack. And then here's the stack of 79 cards, including 18 high numbers that are just extras, right? Or I could trade away for additional commons potentially. But still, 304 cards. So altogether now, between the 1966 tops and 1971 tops, we're at 1,410 cards, which now brings the price down to 5.7 cents per card. So almost 20 cards for $1. So I'm curious if there's anybody out there who thinks that I did not get a good deal on this. I think it's a killer deal, right? 5 cents a card, just over 5 cents a card. And then on top of that, which I'm not gonna get into great deal of showing this too much, but there was just some random 72s, you know, nothing special, but there's, I think, 7 1972 cards in there. There's a stack of 135 1974 cards in there. A lot of tradeds, so I have a feeling a bunch of them are, maybe the traded set is included in this. I haven't gone through them, but just a bunch of 74 cards. Like I said, 135 of them. There is 74 1976 cards in here. And then there's some Topps Minis, just random assortment of Topps Minis. And then included with that, just a random assortment of the regular sized Topps from 75. And then even, there's my phone. And then on top of that, there was even more random stuff, like a Billy Williams 1970 in there. There was a Jim Palmer Boyhood card in there. A random Joe Niekro in terrible condition 76 Topps. A Mike Trout card. They just kind of let me throw this stuff in there with the rest of this stuff. There was 2 Mark Fidrich, the Bird rookies in there. Grab those. This is the oldest card I saw in the stack. 1961 Chico Fernandez in there. But it's a nicely centered card. It's in good shape. There was an Emmitt Smith rookie in there. I think it's Action Packed, right? Action Packed rookie of Emmitt Smith. A couple old basketball cards. One of Bob Love's second year card. I love Bob Love. He used to do, after the Bulls games in the 90s, I think he would kind of do the recaps of some of the Bulls games. So these 2 cards were in there. So I grabbed those, you know. I found a couple, going through the other boxes, I found a couple Pete Crow Armstrong, one of his draft prospects card, one of his insert rookies, a couple of those, a few scratch offs. Not anybody spectacular, but I think these were from 70 Topps scratch offs. But again, all this stuff for 80 bucks. And if you include, you know, the 74s and the 73, and there was some 73s, I don't know what I did with those, but there's some 73s as well. We're down to under 5 cents a card for all this stuff. So I thought it was great. Not sure what I want to do with all this stuff. I probably want to try to trade some of the doubles that I have. So, you know, anybody out there are doing sets from 66 to 71, and there's some cards they're missing, some commons off their checklists, and, you know, lower to mid-grade, you know, binder sets. If anybody's looking to trade, let me know. You know, I'm open. Maybe I'll start collecting these sets. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, it was a great weekend. I thought it was a steal for 80 bucks. Again, the boxes, he initially said 33 cents a card, and with what I got, went down to 5 cents a card. And again, it's all old stuff. So I think I did pretty well. What do you guys think? It would be cool to know, or even in the comments, you know, let me know. Would you have bought the 66s for 50 cents a card? No? Would you have bought the 66s and 67s for 25 cents a card at that point? No? You know, then you get up to the the 68s? Would you have bought those? So it'd be interesting to see where you guys would bought and where you would have bought, and if you think I got a good deal on all this stuff or not. But other than that, that's it. I'll probably pan to a quick photo of all this stuff together so you can see that, and we'll end it here. So I thank you guys very much for watching, and you have a good rest of your week.